This is the Chat City interviews from 103.2 Preston FM with your host, Hughie Parr.
Established in May 2000, they work with children and young people who are or have been in the care of Lancashire County Council, and they were formerly known as Lancashire Children's Rights, but are now known as Children's Society here in Lancashire. And it's lovely to welcome my guest into the studio now, and it's Paul Robinson. And Paul is health and well-being advocate with the Society. So a very good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning.
And for people who, lots of people, of course, if you mention the Children's Society of Lancashire, they will know of the name, but maybe not about the work that the Society undertake. So maybe you could tell us a little about the work of the Society.
Yes, we have quite a few strands of different work within Lancashire. We cover all of Lancashire, so we get out and about quite a lot. We have three main strands. One is the one I work on, which is a health and wellbeing advocacy service. So that covers any young person aged under the age of 18 who wishes to make a complaint or have some support about issues they've had with the health service. So that's any NHS service. So that could range from consultants, dentists, opticians. If they want a bit of support through the complaints process, we will help them through that. We'll attend meetings for them, and what we do, we work with the young people and for the young person, so that's our focus really, on their thoughts and feelings and wishes.
Right, and you then would act in an adversarial role. I mean, probably not many young people themselves would put themselves forward, would they? Is it usually that it would come through a parent or a social worker or from a third party?
Yeah, the referrals themselves come from mainly through parents and carers, through professionals working with them as well. So that could be social workers, school teachers, nurses in schools, and we do have odd referrals as well from the young people themselves of the older age range really, and it could be from any child, young person. So we've worked with sort of like small babies. Obviously they can't speak for themselves, so the parents and carers will tell us what the issues are then in that case, and then with the older ones they can let us know and talk to us about what their issues are, so we'll work with them and find out and try to solve their problems with them as well.
And as we know, the welfare of the child, of course, is always paramount.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, we've seen many sad cases that have hit the press. And often, one of the things that has been put forward as to things that were going wrong is that nobody listened to the child.
Yes.
So how important then, and do you see the role of actually being able to listen to a child and then being able to take that child's views forward?
It's very important. We've in all our work, all our lines of work, we always make sure that everybody knows that child has to have a voice and be able to have a voice in their lives, especially the young people in the care system. They have so many things going on around their lives and within their lives, and so many people involved in their lives that sometimes they can get lost, and people, for all good intentions, want to do things for them and help them, but they don't listen sometimes to what the young person actually wants and needs.
Yes, I think that can be a problem with lots of us at times, isn't it? We always think we know what is right for someone else, and sometimes we don't even know what's right for ourselves. And some of the other work is, and I know an important one, is Street Safe Lancashire.
Yes, it is, yeah. That works with young people, again, all across Lancashire, who go missing from home for various reasons, and are at risk of sexual exploitation as well, through different avenues as well. So whether it's online or just through meeting people, they'll work with that young person quite intensively as well, and help and support them and give them the access to other organisations who can help and support them through that as well. And we do have quite a core group of workers who are stationed within each police station across Lancashire, and they make the links with the young people. Yeah.
And this is young people who, for whatever reasons, are not living at home at that time.
I mean, those young people could be any young person. They don't have to be within the care system. So it could be any young person across Lancashire. If they've been referred they can be referred to Street Safe through different organisations again, or through their parents or carers, or through the police. So they will go out and work and find out what the issues are, and if necessary then refer them to social services if there's more ongoing issues and more in-depth issues that need to be looked at as well. And we will make safeguarding referrals as well if we have to. So.
And you were mentioning within your role that a parent, care, etc., can call on you if it's a very small child, so maybe a baby or a child in the formative years. I mean, do you find it that lots of parents maybe find it themselves difficult to talk to professionals about what their views are and what their needs are? So do you find it at times quite a challenging role in being able to express the feelings of a parent to other professionals?
Yes, it can be. They can be quite daunted by the meetings that they have to attend. If there's quite a few professionals there at a meeting and then just a parent, then they can sometimes feel as though they're being picked on or blamed for whatever reason when it's not their fault. And they can become quite lost as well within the whole meeting arena just because they're on their own there. So that bit of support for them is what they need, really. Somebody who can listen as well and take what's going on in and then go away from the meeting, and they can sit down with the parents and carers and just chat with them and talk with them over what went on. And just with forms as well, and the whole complaints process, say, of the NHS is so daunting sometimes, and the timescales involved as well in the meetings, then that extra pair of ears as well is good for them, and it's that support really that they need at that time.
And I suppose for yourself it can be quite challenging, because I would think that in that role as advocate that sometimes the parent carers feel that you should actually be taking their side, so that must be an interesting one. Yeah,
it is. We have to be very clear from the beginning that we are there really from the young person's point of view, and the parent and carers could have issues of their own that they want to raise and discuss, but it's not their issues that we're there for. It is just for the child, and it is just there to put the child's point of view forward. And sometimes when I go and meet a young person and how I describe my role to them is that they're my boss. So if they ask me to find out, can I go and fly to the moon, I have to go and ask that question of somebody, regardless whether I think it's right or wrong, or that I don't think they can do it. I have to go and ask that question and come back with an answer for them. So it's there, and we can never promise anything anyway, either to the young people. We'll say we'll try and go and do that for them, we'll try and go and find out the answer, but we can never promise that we will be able to deliver something either, so that's quite important as well.
And is this role, is it more in need these days? Are there more and more referrals that are coming through probably than ever?
They are becoming more and more. The referrals are coming through quicker now and more of them, only because the service, people weren't aware of the service a few months ago, and we've been out there now talking to different parent and carer groups, professionals as well, just to make them more aware of the service. And so the referrals are coming in more now as people are becoming more aware that they can complain and there is help for them out there as well, to go through the complaints process.
And this may sound a bit of a pun, and I don't intend it to be, but there's also something called, quite an unusual name, LACES, which works, I believe, with young people to help them become more employable.
It did. I mean, unfortunately, that scheme's now finished.
Has it?
Yeah, it's the funding ran out for that one. So the LACES scheme was there designed to work with young people in care, and that was to find them work placements and work opportunities, and to help them onto that ladder of getting into employment or education as well. But unfortunately that
the
finished,
funding until the strand reappears, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. Hopefully it might appear in the future, but we've got other bits of work that we do as well now. We've got a scheme called the Independent Visitor Scheme.
Yes, I was just going to ask about that.
Now that scheme works with young people again who are in care, usually aged about 9 upwards. And it's there to befriend the young person and be an adult in their life who they can trust and talk to. So the young people may be in foster care or in residential care, and they're all volunteers who are the independent visitors, so we recruit from the local community. So it could be people in university, it could be retired people, it could be people who are working who just want to give something back, and they will work with that young person for a minimum of 2 years and go out with them once every 2 weeks, take them to a football match, ice skating, just for a burger, for a coffee, for a chat, and be there for that person, somebody for them to talk to, really. And just to, if they don't feel comfortable talking to a social worker or a foster carer, then they can talk to the independent visitor, and then they can relay any issues back that the young person feels needs to be discussed.
And again, I mean, that could be a really important role, couldn't it, given the historical abuse, sadly, that we've learned that's gone on in residential homes over the years. That, again, a young person had no one to talk to. A lot of the cases that we're now hearing about, what the young people are saying is, well, nobody would believe me. I had nobody to talk to. So, again, an important role of giving someone, as you say, that friend.
It is, yeah, it is. And we do get young people through the independent visitors who do disclose things to them and do want to just speak to somebody in confidence, and they can do that. And we always make sure, I mean, all our volunteers go through our Children's Society training, so they're all fully aware of all the risks involved and the safeguarding issues around working with young people as well, and they're all fully trained on that. And if the volunteers as well, they can come and speak to us, the staff in the project, if they do have any concerns or issues as well about the young people they're working with.
Right.
And it's quite important to say the match is quite carefully done as well, because the young people come to us saying we want a volunteer to work to be matched up with, and it's quite a lengthy process. All the volunteers go through interviews with the young people, so the young people then choose the volunteers who they think would be good to work with young people and who could interact well with young people. And then they have a couple of matching meetings with the young people we think they'll be matched up to, and then if the young person's happy, then it will go along and they can start arranging their meetings. So it's always really at the young person's pace and at what the young person wants, really. And so that's always, again, uppermost in our thoughts.
And is there usually a shortage of volunteers? Are you always looking for volunteers, or do you do quite well?
We do okay, but we're always on the lookout for volunteers. Anybody who wants to come and volunteer for us is more than welcome. I mean, sadly, there's always young people out there who are in the care system. They will always be there, and they need that trusted person sometimes who they can speak to and who they can talk to. We do have a list of young people who are waiting for volunteers, and the matches aren't necessarily there straight away. We have to find the right volunteer to work with the right young person, so it has to be quite a careful one. So any volunteers are more than gladly welcome. They can always go onto our Children's Society website and look on there, and they can link up to our project and find application forms on there.
And do young people refer themselves to the society?
We do, yes. We get young people referring themselves, usually for our advocacy service. We have another advocacy service which is for young people in care, and they will refer themselves if they've got issues that they need help and support with, whether it's through education or whether it's through issues they've got with social services. We get phone calls every day from young people wanting support from our advocacy service. And we work outside of Lancashire as well. Obviously, young people are placed in care outside of Lancashire, so we'll get calls, could be from Birmingham or Yorkshire or down south somewhere in Gloucestershire. Say we do get people all over the country, and we'll always travel to where the young people are.
So it must be nice when you're able to, particularly work with families, etc., and actually bring together where maybe there is some disharmony or there's been some misunderstanding or things are not working out right. It must be nice when you're able to bring that together to kind of resolve that situation in some kind of way.
It is, and if we can do it in a way where before it gets to a complaint stage or anything, if we can get people sitting down talking together around a table and do it in that sort of way, it's so much easier and so much easier for the young people and for the parents or carers involved as well. We just touching on that, we have another strand of work called family support work, where they will work very much with the family and try and resolve issues within that family, and that's just a new piece of work that's just started. So that sort of deals with that side of it as well. And those young people don't have to be within the care system. They could be any family who are just having a few issues maybe, or just need a bit of support for a few weeks. Then they can refer themselves into our service. Again, that's across Lancashire.
And again, the kind of work there is before the situation gets to crisis point, and where maybe other agencies have to step in, or indeed where sometimes care proceedings would have to be taken.
It is, yeah. It's very much based on early intervention, and we get there before it escalates to that stage. And if we can resolve it there, it's so much better for everybody involved. And that's all it needs sometimes, just a little bit of work, just to resolve the issues. It is just working with the whole family as well, rather than just the young person or just the parents and carers. Everybody's involved in that, so they all feel as though they're all taking part in it.
And it can be difficult, can't it, for young people when all the adults are making decisions, or there are problems between the individual adults, and yet that young person's voice is often left. So, to actually be able to bring that voice into whatever's happening within the family, and to look at ways of resolving it, rather than letting it get to that crisis point, is and of course is a cost-effective way of supporting people, isn't it?
It is very cost-effective. Yeah, it will save Lancashire County Council money in the long run, which is what they need to do at the moment. And if we can do that and resolve a family issue, then all the better, really.
Okay, well, Paul, again, tell us about the where people can find out more about the society, and if in fact anybody was interested in finding out about volunteering, where's the best place for them to look?
Okay, the best place really is our Children's Society website, which is www.childrensociety.org.uk, and they can, on there there'll be a link to Lancashire, the Children's Society in Lancashire's website, and you can ask for a volunteer pack there, or you can just ring us for a chat, really, which is 01772 256 900, and you can ask to speak to the independent visitor coordinators. If it's about that scheme, if it's about health and well-being, you can ask to speak to myself, and then if it's a young person, they want to just have a bit of advice and a chat, our advocates are there as well. So that's a general number. You can just ask to speak to any of us or about any of our services.
Okay, well, can I thank you for coming into Chat City this morning?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This interview is from Chat City, Preston FM's mid-morning magazine show, live weekdays from 10 till noon.